Oranges are America's vitamin C gold standard, but there is a winter-hardy berry that quietly packs 12 times more. The world's space programs and ancient armies already knew its secret. Across Russia and China, it is a staple crop, delivering record antioxidant levels from soil where almost nothing else survives. So why is this nutritional powerhouse missing from American fields? And what have we lost by ignoring it? The answer uncovers a century of missed opportunity, forgotten heritage, and a plant that could reshape how we feed, heal, and protect ourselves. A dense thicket of slender branches rises from the edge of a windswept dune. The leaves shimmer with a silvery sheen, their narrow blades catching the light even on overcast days. Amidst this muted foliage, clusters of small, vivid orange berries crowd along the stems. Each berry is about the size of a pea, tightly packed, their color standing out against the pale green leaves. The shrub itself is tough and unyielding, its branches armed with sharp, inch-long thorns that deter both animals and careless hands. Sea buckthorn, known to botanists as Hippophae rhamnoides, thrives where few other fruiting plants can survive. Its roots anchor sandy coastal dunes, rocky riverbanks, and the thin, eroded soils of mountain slopes from the Baltic Sea to the high steppes of Mongolia. The shrub's deep root system holds soil in place, resisting wind and water erosion. Even in the harshest winters, temperatures dropping to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, the plant stands unbowed, its berries clinging through snow and ice. The leaves, long and narrow, are covered with tiny scales that give them a distinct silvery or gray-green color. This adaptation helps conserve moisture and reflect sunlight, a trait that serves the plant well in both arid deserts and cold, sun-drenched uplands. The bark is smooth and gray on young shoots, roughening with age. In spring, inconspicuous yellowish flowers appear, often before the leaves, pollinated by the wind rather than insects. The berries themselves are tart, almost citrus-like, with a waxy skin and a single hard seed inside. Their bright color signals a rich concentration of carotenoids and vitamin C. The fruit ripens in late summer or early autumn and persists well into winter, sometimes not harvested until after the first hard freeze. In the wild, the shrubs often form dense, impenetrable thickets, spreading by underground runners that send up new shoots yards away from the original plant. Sea buckthorn's ability to flourish in poor, sandy, or rocky soils, its resistance to drought and salt spray, and its striking appearance, silvery leaves, orange fruit, and thorny branches make it instantly recognizable to those who know what to look for. This is not a delicate garden berry, but a survivor, built for the world's roughest edges. Across the windswept steppes of Central Asia, stories of sea buckthorn stretch back for centuries. Mongolian horsemen relied on the berries and leaves to keep their animals strong through brutal winters, convinced the plant's power brought stamina and a glossy coat. In the 8th century, Tang Dynasty medical texts in China described sea buckthorn as a remedy for coughs, digestive troubles, and wounds. It was a staple in the apothecaries of ancient herbalists. Tibetan healers pressed the oil into burns and sores, while herbalists in mountain monasteries prescribed the fruit for resilience against cold and fatigue. Generations of folk healers, from the Baltic to the Himalayas, trusted the orange berry's reputation for restoring strength where little else survived. By the early 20th century, these traditions caught the attention of state scientists. In 1933, Soviet botanists began systematic breeding of sea buckthorn, selecting for hardiness, yield, and vitamin content. Soviet agricultural stations planted miles of hedges along eroding riverbanks and windswept fields. The plant's reputation grew from folk medicine to official policy. During World War II, Russian medics used sea buckthorn oil to treat frostbite and burns on the front lines. The oil's ability to heal skin and resist infection became a guarded military asset. The Soviet space program took a particular interest. In the 1980s, as cosmonauts prepared for long missions in orbit, scientists searched for foods that could withstand cosmic radiation and the rigors of zero gravity. Sea buckthorn puree, packed with vitamin C and antioxidants, was tested for its ability to retain nutrients after extreme processing and storage. Reports from Russian archives suggest that the fruit's vitamin C survived the journey into orbit, making it a staple for cosmonauts facing months away from fresh produce. The berry's journey from folk remedy to space food was fueled by state-driven research and a culture that prized resilience. A historian describes how in Russia and China sea buckthorn became more than a wild shrub. It was woven into national strategies, planted by decree, studied in laboratories, and prescribed by doctors. In China, government programs established vast plantations in the 1970s, aiming to reclaim arid land and lift rural communities out of poverty. The berry appeared in teas, tinctures, and Olympic athletes' drinks. Through centuries of war, famine, and scientific ambition, sea buckthorn's credibility only grew. By the time modern scientists began measuring its nutrients in the lab, the berry's reputation was already firmly rooted in the lived experience of millions. A row of glass vials stands beneath bright laboratory lights. Each vial contains a different fruit extract: orange, blueberry, and a thick golden liquid drawn from sea buckthorn berries. A chemist at the University of Alaska Fairbanks measures out a precise sample, loading it into a high-performance liquid chromatograph. The machine hums softly as it separates and quantifies the nutrients locked inside the fruit. On the monitor, a digital graph spikes sharply. The result? Sea buckthorn clocks in at 600 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams of fresh berries. Oranges, by comparison, reach just 50 milligrams in the same test. Even when the lowest yielding samples are included, sea buckthorn routinely delivers 360 milligrams, still more than 6 times the vitamin C of an orange. Some wild Siberian varieties have been recorded at nearly 900 milligrams per 100 grams, a figure that dwarfs not only citrus but nearly every other fruit tested in the lab. The numbers hold up across different laboratories and methods. Titration assays confirm the same pattern. Sea buckthorn berries, when freshly picked, contain the highest concentration of vitamin C found in any commonly eaten fruit. When processed into juice or dried, the berries do lose some potency. Lab measurements show a drop of 20 to 50%, depending on the method and storage. Yet even after processing, a glass of sea buckthorn juice can deliver 4 to 6 times more vitamin C than orange juice of the same volume. The vitamin's stability is unusual too. Freezing or heating preserves most of the ascorbic acid, a trait that made sea buckthorn puree attractive to Soviet researchers seeking astronaut food that could endure months in space. The lab results extend beyond vitamin C. Each berry holds a spectrum of nutrients rarely found together in a single fruit. Carotenoids, the compounds responsible for the berry's deep orange color, register at 20 to 50 milligrams per 100 grams, rivaling the levels in carrots and far surpassing most berries. Vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant, appears at 1.5 to 2 milligrams per serving, adding to the fruit's protective profile. The seeds and pulp contain omega-7 fatty acids, a rare plant-based source that has drawn interest from nutritionists and cosmetic chemists alike. In antioxidant tests, sea buckthorn berries post an ORAC score above 17,000 micromoles per 100 grams, placing them near the top of the charts and well ahead of blueberries. A food chemist explains that we have tested wild and cultivated sea buckthorn from Alaska, Russia, and China. The vitamin C numbers are consistently off the charts. Even after accounting for processing and storage losses, no other berry comes close. The data is clear. In terms of raw nutrient density, sea buckthorn is in a category of its own. The fruit's lab profile confirms what centuries of traditional medicine and decades of state-driven research have suggested: this is not just a survivor, but a nutritional heavyweight. The question shifts from whether the berry is remarkable to why its potential remains largely untapped in American fields. Sea buckthorn's reputation for resilience is not just folklore or laboratory data. It is written into the plant's biology and proven in the world's harshest environments. In Siberia, entire hedgerows survive temperatures plunging to -40 degrees Celsius. The same species stands firm on Baltic coastlines, where wind and salt spray strip away all but the most tenacious life. Restoration projects in Latvia and Estonia have used sea buckthorn to cut coastal erosion by as much as 70%. The deep roots bind loose sand and hold new soil in place. In Alaska and northern Canada, field trials show survival rates above 90%, even in exposed sites where snow buries the branches for months. The plant's cold hardiness is legendary, but its reputation as a nitrogen fixer is less certain. Roots do not show the telltale nodules that some relatives develop when they partner with soil bacteria. German and American researchers have dug up thousands of roots searching for actinorhizal swellings. Instead, they find a dense web of fine roots, efficient at scavenging nutrients from poor soils, but not manufacturing their own. The plant improves soil by stabilizing it and by adding organic matter through leaf litter, not by enriching it with nitrogen, the way a legume might. The shrub is dioecious. Male and female flowers grow on separate plants. Only females produce fruit, but without a nearby male, the wind-blown pollen never finds its mark. Pollination at scale requires planning. Large-scale orchards in Russia and China follow a strict formula: 1 male for every 6 to 8 females, arranged in rows to catch the prevailing breeze. Farmers who misjudge the ratio see entire blocks of unpollinated, barren shrubs. The lesson is clear. Resilience in the field starts with precision at planting. Soil type matters too. Sea buckthorn tolerates acidity, alkalinity, salt, and drought, but it demands full sun and well-drained ground. In heavy clay or saturated lowlands, the roots suffocate and the plants languish. But on sandy slopes, gravel bars, and eroded hillsides, the shrubs form dense thickets, their silver leaves shimmering above bare ground. In these settings, the plant's suckering habit becomes both an asset and a challenge. Underground runners send up new shoots yards from the original stem, quickly covering open ground and outcompeting weeds. If left unmanaged, a single planting can spread far beyond its intended borders. The practical reality of growing sea buckthorn in America comes down to clear constraints. The climate must be cold enough to match its native range. USDA zones 3 through 7 are ideal. The land should be open, sunny, and free draining. Orchard managers must plan for pollination and spacing, placing males and females in the right proportion. And while the plant will not fix nitrogen, its deep roots and tough constitution make it a powerful tool for soil conservation and land restoration. The next question is whether these strengths can translate into a crop that works for American farmers, or if the biological hurdles are simply too high for commercial success. China's northern provinces now produce more sea buckthorn than any country on Earth, 600,000 tons each year. The scale is staggering. Dense hedgerows stretch for miles, and harvest crews move from field to field in a tightly choreographed operation. In these orchards, the old image of workers struggling with thorns and frozen branches has faded. The breakthrough came with mechanization. On a demonstration plot outside Harbin, a mechanical engineer stands beside a trunk-mounted shaker, the kind first tested in Canadian trials. The device clamps onto the base of a mature shrub, then delivers a rapid series of vibrations. Within seconds, ripe berries rain down onto catch belts, collected at a rate of 600 kilograms per hour, almost 90 times faster than handpicking. The operator checks the machine's settings, fine-tuning the force to avoid damaging the branches or bursting the delicate fruit. In a single afternoon, a small team can clear 1 hectare, a task that once took dozens of workers nearly a week. The numbers tell the story. Hand-harvested sea buckthorn in China and Russia costs about $12,000 per hectare, factoring in labor shortages and the risk of thorn injuries. With mechanical shakers, the first-year cost drops to $10,200 per hectare, even after accounting for equipment depreciation and fuel. Once the machines are paid off, the gap widens further, making mechanization the only viable path for large-scale production. In Northern Europe, Finnish and German growers adopted similar systems, often sharing equipment between farms to spread the investment. The economics are clear. Beyond a certain scale, manual harvest simply cannot compete. Processing facilities have learned to work with the berry's tartness, blending sea buckthorn juice with apple or grape at a ratio of 1:3 to balance the flavor. The oil, pressed from seeds and pulp, commands a premium for its omega-7 content, feeding both the health supplement and skincare markets. The blueprint for a viable industry is already in place: massive yields, mechanized harvest, and a value chain that stretches from field to factory. For growers, the path forward is no longer a technical mystery. The tools exist, the cost math is proven, and the world's largest producers have shown what is possible when scale and innovation align. Les Putman's story begins on the outskirts of Fairbanks, Alaska, in the early 1990s. Armed with a USDA grant and a shipment of Russian seedlings, he planted 1,000 sea buckthorn shrubs along a sandy ridge. The plan was simple: test whether this superberry could thrive in America's far north. The first few years brought promise. Survival rates topped 90%, and by the 6th year, the orchard yielded up to 4 tons per hectare. But problems surfaced as the plants matured. Thorns tore through gloves and skin, leaving hands bloodied after every harvest. The berries clung tight to the branches, bursting under pressure. Without mechanical shakers, picking each fruit by hand took hours. When Les miscalculated the ratio of male to female plants, whole sections failed to set fruit. By 2005, the orchard was abandoned. The lesson was clear. Resilience in the field is only the first step. For growers today, the blueprint starts with site selection. Sea buckthorn demands full sun and sandy, well-drained soil. Cold is not a barrier. USDA zones 3 through 7 are ideal. The next step is planning for pollination. Only female shrubs produce berries, but 1 male plant is needed for every 6 to 8 female plants to ensure fruit set. Planting in mixed rows aligned with prevailing winds maximizes pollen transfer. Reliable cultivars like Leucora offer high vitamin C and good yields. Nurseries in Oregon and Minnesota now supply both sexes, often grafted for quicker fruiting. Root management is critical. Sea buckthorn spreads by underground runners, sending up suckers yards away from the original stem. Without intervention, a tidy orchard can become a wild thicket. Installing a root barrier 24 inches deep around the perimeter stops unwanted spread. Mowing twice a year keeps suckers in check. These techniques, borrowed from European and Canadian growers, prevent the plant from overrunning fields and neighboring properties. For those starting out, sustainable agriculture grants from USDA can offset the costs of root barriers, irrigation, and orchard establishment. Extension agents recommend starting with 10 to 20 plants, learning the rhythms of pruning and harvest before scaling up. With careful planning and the right tools, American growers can avoid the pitfalls that ended Les Putman's orchard, and finally bring this winter-hardy superberry into the mainstream. Today, the United States imports over 90% of its fruit, even as climate extremes threaten those supply chains. Sea buckthorn thrives where others fail, yet it remains overlooked on American soil. As nutrition and food security become urgent priorities, the real question is not if this resilient crop can grow here, but whether we choose to plant it. The future of our diets may depend on what we ignore now.